Welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. After I finished reading Fool's Errand, I really wasn't sure if Robin Hobb could possibly top that opening to the Tawny Man trilogy. And that was until I read The Golden Fool, book 2 in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is my new favorite book by Robin Hobb. This discussion will include no spoilers for the Realm of the Elderlings at all, but I will be in a spoiler-filled discussion of the Tawny Man trilogy with Mike over at Mike's Book Reviews, and that discussion will also include Madison Goodyear and Scott from the Bald Booktuber and Jake Bishop. This is part of an ongoing discussion series that Mike is hosting on all the trilogies and the one tetralogy in the Realm of the Elderlings. So, my non-spoiler thoughts on The Golden Fool. This is one of the most immersive reads I have ever experienced. Not just in Realm of the Elderlings, but just period. One of the most immersive reads I've ever experienced, meaning as I was reading this, after the first couple hundred pages, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Robin Hobb slow start. I have some thoughts on that. But after the first couple hundred pages, I couldn't put the book down. You hear people say that all the time, but it didn't even feel like I was reading anymore. It felt like I was somehow a ghost witnessing the story passing before my eyes. I was just that invested, that immersed in The Golden Fool. What a wonderful experience this was. And it was a slow start, I will say, the first couple hundred pages. And this is fairly typical, at least of my experience of Hobb's writing. The first couple hundred pages, very slow. But when things start to happen, they really do happen. And the investment and the attachment you feel to the characters, both of these things are just so high. And I think the secret is that slow start. You wouldn't have that level of investment without the beginning that Hobb crafts, where she slowly and subtly gets you attached to the characters and to the place and to the events. It feels like nothing is happening, and yet the story is sinking into you in ways that you can't even perceive, I think, while it's happening. And that is the secret behind the huge emotional impact that happens later in every single Robin Hobb book. So yes, I will admit, spend a lot of time attending to my sudden allergy attacks when I was reading The Golden Fool. In fact, I probably shed more tears. I know I shed more tears while reading The Golden Fool than in any other Robin Hobb book so far. So this one definitely affected me deeply on an emotional level, as only Robin Hobb can do. It was really just beautiful. The book is just a beautiful emotional journey. And it's really not even about the action, though there is some action after those first couple hundred pages. There is some action. But I'd be hard-pressed to give you a summary of the story that makes it sound like there's a lot of action. There's not, or even plot, I suppose. There's definitely plot. It's there, but it unfolds very slowly, and at least for the first couple hundred pages. And it's not about the action, really. I mean, there is some, but it is more about the revelations. And these revelations have everything to do with the previous trilogies and the previous book. There's no doubt that The Golden Fool builds on what happened in Fool's Errand and also in the previous books, the previous two trilogies. And yes, I'm not just talking about Farseer, but also Live Ship Traders. More on that later. But a lot of that is what creates the investment in the story that is unfolding, the mysteries that are being glimpsed in The Golden Fool. So there's a lot of payoff that begins to happen in this book. I was surprised at how many revelations happen, not just for the reader, but for the characters in the story. There's a lot comes to fruition in The Golden Fool. And it's not even the third book of this trilogy. It's not even close to the end of the Realm of the Elderlings. And it's just, wow. So I was blown away by the one boom, boom, boom after another revelation. A lot of these are just psychological. There's the psychological impact on the characters and on the reader of these revelations is just tremendous, and they come hard and fast. The secrets of the past loom large in the present of Golden Fool. And Hobb creates this marvelous tension. And it is very much to do with the vividness of her characters, but it also is through the conflict, both the inner conflict within the characters and also the outward conflict between the characters. And not just characters who are enemies, but characters who are friends, who are at odds with each other for one reason or another. Even the most affectionate of relationships includes conflict. And this is a truth that Hobb captures beautifully in The Golden Fool. She expertly weaves complexity into her character relationships through the swirling desires and prejudices and needs and dreams and fears of these individual characters. And all these things have an effect on the relationships between the characters. It's just as much psychological investment as you could possibly ask for from an author. These characters feel real. They feel like people you know, people that you love and are invested in such a beautiful way. And in terms of the themes, I admire Hobb's writing. I always have for her Incorporation of Themes, and this continues to be the case in The Golden Fool. Perhaps very prominent. This is a carryover theme from Fool's Errand, very much so, and even from earlier series as well, particularly Farseer. But there's an emphasis on the nature of oppression and what oppression does to individuals, what it does to the society, how it warps people. Not just the people who are the victims of the oppression, but also the people who perpetrate the oppression. It is just a brilliantly included theme in The Golden Fool. It is a subtle exploration that takes into account various perspectives on all sides. There's also a really wonderful inclusion of the theme of the personal desire versus the familial, also the institutional, even the social obligation. And that, of course, is part of the conflict you see in here, the conflict between personal desire, what I want for myself, and my obligation to my family, to my institution, the monarchy, whatever it might be, or to the society as a whole. And these things often are in conflict with one another. Also, I think one thing that is beautifully explored in The Golden Fool is the nature of love and friendship and the sometimes blurry lines between those things. It's a really compelling, emotional read that I am so glad to have gotten under my belt. I'm incredibly excited for the third part of the Tawny Man trilogy and to continue this year, one book a month, in the realm of the Elderlings until I have finished this tremendous journey. Also, just a quick shout out to the fact that the crossover really now, if you've only read Farseer and Liveship, you don't get a sense of a ton of crossover, of a lot of connections between these two trilogies, but now it's beginning to become more and more evident how these things are going to be perhaps weaving together more and more. And that's something that makes me very excited. It's kind of cool when you see cameos of characters from one series and invading another in this realm of the Elderlings thing. So I'm very excited for this. I enjoyed this book tremendously. It is going to be one of my favorite reads of all time. Certainly one of my favorite reads of this year. I don't know how is Hobb going to top this? I have no idea, but I'm going to continue reading. And that's it from me for now. Until next time.